What's up everybody, it's Johnbonne here, hope you're all having a pleasant time, and I am. Today I'm going to be recording Johnbonne's journal on the microphone because my camera's currently on charge and I need to save the battery for future Johnbonne journals and the next review as well. So, and by the way, if you want to see more Johnbonne's journals on the microphone instead of my ugly mug, because then you get to see some gameplay footage, which is better than my face, then yeah, let me know. Oh, I guess that's even if you want to see Johnbonne's journal, probably not. So today I want to talk about the Uncharted 4 micro-controversy that was surrounding Change.org and Metacritic. So I'll give you the story, and I will warn you it is quite provocative. So essentially, someone had a shit fit, took to Change.org and signed it and made a petition to remove a negative review of Uncharted 4 from Metacritic, or at least the score for the game. On Uncharted 4, so that the game could have glowing or at least fair reviews. Now, that's honestly, I appreciate the goal. I think it's quite noble in a way that you want a game that you like to remain, at least if it's going to have any criticism, have it fair. The thing is that we don't live in that world, and I think the internet is like the Wild West in that regard, where opinions can just simply go challenged, or or like things can be just removed without challenge, or things can be said without rebuttal and things like that. I think of this as a similar thing to when my videos get downvoted. If I get a downvote on a video, I can't remove it, I can't challenge it, I can't go to YouTube and ask for that downvote to be removed and provide good reasoning as to why it should be. I can remove comments, which I only did once on this channel, and I fucking regret it, and I hate myself when I have to do that. But it just wasn't very constructive, so I've sort of, I guess, sworn to not remove comments. I mean, that's probably going to change the moment this video goes up, but we'll see. But yeah, it's only like that, where, yeah, on Metacritic, you've got to accept that if good reviews can exist, so can bad ones. If fair reviews can exist, so can unfair ones. You know? And it sucks that unfair reviews exist, but we have been given voices, and we should use them to spout our opinions, however unqualified. If I could not say wrong shit, I wouldn't be able to work on Twitter. I wouldn't be able to say anything on Twitter. The amount of times I've been corrected and advised otherwise by my followers, who sort of just, honestly, they might as well live with me. And like, before I say anything, I should have to confirm things with them, just to make sure it's right, it's correct, I'm giving the right information or whatever. I'm having the right impression. Because I give a lot of knee-jerk reactions. So anyway, yeah, I think that although this person's review did seem a bit shit, they may not seem to be qualified to talk about the game, I think they should still be allowed their voice. And I think, sort of asking for the score to be removed, I don't know. Now, this person isn't asking for the review to be removed from the internet, but they are asking for the score to be taken from Metacritic. I don't sort of like that all that much, but I accept it. So anyway, let's talk about Metacritic. I quite like Metacritic. I don't think it's great, but I think it has some perks, and I think there are some valid defenses for it, so allow me to explain why. So, the reason why I like Metacritic is because it's a hub for all my resources when it comes to reviewers. So, if I want a review of, what's a new game that's come out? Let's say Doom. If I want a review of Doom, all I have to do is I can go on Metacritic, and I can find, from top to bottom, positive to negative, colour-coded, numbered reviews with a tiny little quote if I don't want to read the entire review. So I can just open new tabs for GameSpot, IGN, Destructoid, Escapist, Jim Sterling, whoever. I can do it all for all those critics that I like, and if I don't like that particular critic, but I do like the website, then I might just say, oh, well, I'll just bugger off then. Because it saves me going into Google and just having to type in review, and it comes up with all kinds of critics that I don't want, and I've got to filter through them. So I can do it a lot faster on Metacritic, I feel. And it also shows the scores that I want to see. And I like to, because I don't really sort of just type into Google, Doom negative review. Because I actually want to read negative reviews more than I do positive ones. Now, not because I hate Doom, I'm only using Doom as a placeholder here. The reason why I like to read negative reviews more is because I can find my own positives in a game. If someone lists something as a positive and I agree with it, I don't need to hear from it a load of other people that same positive, yeah? Now, when it comes to negatives, I am a pessimist, a cynic, and an arse. I like to make sure that if there is a common criticism, I want to know, is that criticism going to affect me? If so, how much? However, if it's just like, if there's one criticism, like loads of little criticisms, or big criticisms, but only apply to one critic, and everyone has their different critique, then I'm more likely to buy the game. But if it's one thing that everyone has a problem with, and it's something that I worry about, I'm not going to buy the game. And I'll find my own positives in the game. I'm afraid I can't put it any clearer than that, but that's just me. So yeah, that's one reason why I like Metacritic and what it does. I mean, also going into that, I like to, so like when I look at negative review scores, I like to have a look at the radically, or rather no, maybe not the radically bad ones. I prefer sort of like medium low numbers than radically high ones. Like every critic in the world could give Doom a 100 or a 10 out of 10, whatever, or 5 stars. However, if there was one review that gave it 40, or a game that like 99 even, or 9 out of 10 or whatever, I would likely read that one and find out why it got lower. Yeah, because I don't know, I just find that information more useful, you know. And I think a score is a great. I think a score is a great way of sort of knowing what the review is going to be about before you go into it. The thing about review scores is that, like, if you look on Google, can you get those review scores, or any other search engine? Can you get those review scores before you go into the review itself? Some sites will list it. Some sites will have it at the top of the screen, so that when you're looking on Google or Bing or wherever these other search engines are, Dogpile, whatever. I only use Google really. You can sort of see the score at the beginning. I think that's quite handy, but because some people only read for the scores, so actually having it at the beginning would actually help them out. However, I think that they're also a great way of summarizing a review, but they don't, like, if I look at the score for, I'm over looking at my Steam library now, I'm looking at Warframe. Warframe's got 68. That doesn't tell me anything about the game. It tells me that it's got mixed feelings from different critics. It doesn't tell me what's good about it or what's bad about it, so I've got to read the review first. So there's that. So I've rambled way too long on that subject, so I need to move on to another, I think. I think another thing about review scores is that I just like to use them. I can't really explain it. I think it just summarizes my thoughts nicely. And it's something that I like to do in a review because it makes it feel like there's more to do. Now, I will get around to the problems later on, but I think it's important to mention now that, like, for me, I feel as though a lot of people make their reviews around the review score. They have a score in their mind, and then that they have to make a review around that. Yeah? Or they give a score and they think it's unjust, or rather their review is unjust. They don't change the score, they change the review. And I think that's the problem as well, is that people may end up changing their opinion when really your review should be your opinion and only that. I mean, well, okay, maybe have some fact in there as well, obviously, but what I'm saying is, like, the moment you introduce a score, you may end up start thinking differently about the game because you've already got these ideas about what a score should be, especially if you're scared of your fan base, or your reader base, I should say. I've seen people go mental because a game got 9 out of 10. And I'm not joking, but 8 out of 10, I think Jim Sterling said it best when he said that 8 out of 10 has become hate out of 10. 8 out of 10 is now the average score, pretty much. And I'm glad to see that we're sort of moving away from that now, but it's taken long enough. And yeah, 8 is still average. 8 is only, the bare minimum that a game should be reaching for. I mean, fair enough, yeah. If that's the developer's idea, yeah, but it shouldn't be the critic it shouldn't be the critic's job to just put an 8 on because they're scared that they're gonna get bombed with, hateful comments and, like, have people, leave the site or whatever. Or attack them on social media and things like that. I mean, fair enough, it's only social media or whatever, but, I mean, it's just a shame that really that happens. So if that ever happens, just don't use review scores. You might find them fun to use, but if you can't handle it, then don't use them. I stopped using them because I didn't know how the fuck they work. I tried, but I just couldn't make sense of my own review score system. So yeah, which I'll get around to later. So I guess really those are the only reasons why I like Metacritic, so I'm going to have to move on to something else now. I guess I just want to make a couple of defenses. So, I mean, a lot of people say that Metacritic needs to die because it gives the wrong score or anything like that. And I'd say, well, with math, you can't really go wrong. Yeah, I mean, okay, you can go wrong if it's your own fault. Math doesn't really sort of lie to you necessarily. Now, if Metacritic uses its own gobbledygook system to work out the Metascore, then yeah, fuck it. But the way I understand it is Metacritic takes all the scores given on a game, so it takes them from GameSpot, IGN, Kotaku, Polygon, etc., etc., and what it does is it works out the average, from what I understand, and then that's the Metascore. Now, I mean, that's fine if that's the case, but even then there is still a significant problem. Metacritic does not account for all review scores given on a game. It will never be able to. It'll never be able to collect those. Like, it doesn't take in Steam user reviews. It doesn't take its own user reviews into account. You know? Like how I'm trying to think, like, what are the prerequisites for getting onto Metacritic? Because there are some critics out there who I would trust over the ones on Metacritic, but they're not on Metacritic, and therefore their scores are not counted, and therefore, how can you get an accurate number? Yeah? And in the end, you know, Metacritic, it's not like Metacritic is its own site, its own authority on this subject. It's just, like, if there was a competitor that came along and did it better, it could take even more scores and have a different number. And then which one do you trust? To me, it's like a DPS counter in World of Warcraft in a way where, like, there's two different things. They should do the same job, but you can get different results. How? So, yeah. Take from that what you will. I know I'm rambling, but Christ Almighty, let me try again. It's this heat. It's doing me head in. I think a final word on that as well would be that, I know I keep saying I think, etc. I think a final word on that would be that, like, because these, like, the Metascore is made up from individual opinions, everyone has their different way of rating a game. Yeah? There's no really sort of objective review score system. You know, and Metacritic is certainly not it, because, as I say, there's so many variables, there's so many problems with it, like missing numbers, for example. That's, I think, the first thing before you can get an accurate representation of what the game's like. Yeah, and don't forget, these people, like, these are reviewers. Granted, they have different backgrounds, but do they represent every player? Are they an accurate representation? There's quite a divide between a reviewer and a gamer, or your average consumer, I should say. So there is that as well. So, and like, how Polygon rates a game will be different to how, say, I rate a game. And I think one of the fairest ways you can rate a game is to do it in the way of, like, an exam, in a way. So, like, you know, in the exams where you get a mark for the correct answer, and, like, if there's a 3-mark question, it means there's 3 answers. Things like that. Do it objective like that. A game can have, like, a review can have all the content in the world, have every single word, but if none of it makes sense, and if it doesn't answer, does the game have a good story, yes or no, it doesn't get a mark. Yeah? It has to answer it clear. So yeah, that's how I would do a review score system if I had to have one. I would say, does the game have a good story, yes or no? If it has a good story, give it a mark. If it doesn't, don't give it one. Yeah? Does the game have good gameplay, yes or no, whatever. Things like that. And be very strict with it. Now, if I have mixed... I mean, that doesn't really count for mixed feelings. You know? Otherwise, I would just have to say no. Because I think that's the only really fair way I could do that, I guess. But some people may say, well, no, maybe that's too unfair. Maybe that's too strict. So I don't know. I mean, that's why I sort of like Steam reviews. Because you've got the up and down vote. Because I can say no to a game. In fact, I'm going to try and find an example now. So, Warhammer 40,000 Deathwatch. I love that game. I can't recommend it. I can't recommend you buy it. Why? Because it doesn't fucking run. It's a great game, but it no longer works. Like, I had to reset my PC to get it to work, and even then, it only boots up 3 times, and then after that, it stopped working. Yeah? And that seems to be quite a few other people's experiences as well. I can't recommend... So, I mean, I could describe the gameplay, but what's the point in me talking about if it doesn't work? It's like with Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines. I really like that game. I love it, but it requires an unofficial patch. And the patch you get might differ to the one that I've got, and therefore I can't give an accurate representation of what the gameplay's like. Yeah? Because if I were to say that the combat was bad, that might be because of the patch I'm using. That may be that it balances the builds in different ways, which some of these patches do. Like, I think the one that I've got actually balances melee a bit better, so melee's more powerful than So I guess it really hasn't balanced it, but it's more powerful than firearms or something like that. So yeah, take from that what you will. So I think that's important as well, that like, because everyone has their different way of reviewing games and giving different scores. In some cases, a site doesn't give it a score, but they get on Metacritic anyway. I think in the case of the Washington Post article, going back to Uncharted 4 there, that's a problem. You know, so I think that's maybe one of the reasons why Metacritic really needs to rethink how it does things. Or, you know, maybe remove from existence. I mean, the only other defense I've got for Metacritic, really, is the, like, people tell me that devs get screwed out of bonuses, financial bonuses, because they didn't get the scores that would have got them financial bonuses. A great example of this would be when Bungie were promised by Activision to get something like $500,000 as a reward for getting a certain score on Metacritic. Like, they were supposed to get 90 on Metacritic. Sorry, they were supposed to get a Metascore. Let's use the right terminology here. They were supposed to get a Metascore of 90 or something like that, and they got 6. Now, first of all, I would say, well, make a good fucking game. That's the way you get a good score on Metacritic, but also, well, with other critics. And second of all, you know, that's on Activision for setting the bar so high. Oh, well, look, really, it really depends where you're looking at, I guess. So, if you're trying to limbo under it or trying to leap over it, whatever. I don't know the phrase, okay? I know that you've got to set a bar, okay? So that's up to Activision to set the bar. I'm not going to say where the bar is, they just set it, okay? So it's up to... So yeah, it was up to Bungie to make a good game, to be worthy of that score, and yeah, in some people's opinion it was. I quite liked it, I thought it was okay, but I'm just using it as an example. But, you know, Metacritic just gave the score based on other critics' opinions. So I don't really think Metacritic is entirely to blame now. I think it does have some of the blame, because its system is flawed in a way, but I think it's more on the critics who gave the negative scores to get that final Metascore. I think it's also Activision's fault for doing that. Now, unless Metacritic had said to Activision, we will give you the money to give to Bungie if you say to them that they've got to get a score of Metacritic on our website, a score of Metacritic, a score of 90 on Metacritic, then I would say that's shitty, okay? But I don't know why they would do that. So yeah, I'm really not thinking too hard about that, to be honest. But yeah, I think it's shitty tying financial rewards to it, but I don't think it's Metacritic's fault necessarily, especially if Metacritic had no say in it. I don't know how that process works. I know I have to do my research, but these things are kind of off the cuff and my, knee-jerk impressions, I guess. So, yeah, that's pretty much my thoughts on Metacritic out of the way, so I'm going to talk about review scores for a bit, I guess. I mean, I like them. I think they're okay. As I said earlier, I think they're a great way of rounding up a review. I think it'd be useful to see that information before the beginning of a review. Before the beginning of a review, at the beginning of a review. Oh yeah, even before, if you're just casually looking on Google or whatever, like I do on Metacritic. I can just have a look at the scores and I can know which reviews I want to see and which reviewers and why. So I think that's useful information to have. But I guess to sort of, not necessarily wrap up, but the final thoughts before I wrap up. I can't buy a game with a Metascore. I can't take the 91 score for Dishonored and spend that on a game, yeah? And this is how I do my reviews. I need to know, okay, and because I don't earn a lot from my living, well, obviously, I don't earn a lot, you see, so I've got to be careful about my money. Also, I'm British, so I love a good bargain. I was raised to get a good bargain. Also, I've been in circumstances where, yeah, I've had to save money. My parents have had to save money. And, we've had to sort of try and get deals where we can. So, yeah, and like because Steam and Humble and all kinds of retailers are so generous, we've kind of taught to expect a sale and just wait. Because it will be worth it in the end. As I've learned recently with, like, Democracy 3, I bought it for, like £18 and it's been on sale for 3 on Humble. Like, shit. So, yeah, it is worth waiting. What I would do is, rather than have a review score on my show, what I do is I recommend games based on on their value. You may have heard me say in my reviews, I don't know if it's always, it's not strict, but I always say, based on my experience with the game, I might say that, I don't recommend the game at full price, but I do recommend you get it in a sale. I mean, that's obvious, but maybe I would say don't even get it in the sale, it's just not worth it. unless it's less than £3, do not get this game. You know, things like that. Or the game's good, but the DLC is okay. Or if you can get the full version, yeah, it's definitely, or maybe it's definitely worth getting at full price. You know? So sometimes that's useful information to me. Now, the difference between that and review scores is that I could see if every critic in the world, even my most trusted indie guys, like I'm talking about Thor High Heels, Ducky Gamer Deluxe, Sky the English Gamer, Master J, Fracky Review Show, all those guys, wonderful people. Even if they gave Doom, for example, because that's a game that I am looking at, but I don't know if I want to get it just yet, even if they gave it 100, or 10 out of 10, 5 stars, you know, whatever, I would still not buy that game without two things. One, seeing some gameplay, and two, knowing what price to get it at. Is it, because I don't know if that's going to be worth £40 to me. Every critic in the world could say it's worth it at full price, yeah? But I don't know. No, sorry, no. It kind of defeats the point of the argument. If they did say that, I probably would get it at full price. But I want to know, should I get it at a reduced price? Should I get it on sale? Because some people might give it 100 out of 100, or 10 out of 10. But they might say, well, it is a great game, but it's even better if you get it on a sale. And there is a sale coming up soon. Or, you know, the sale on this game is about to end soon. Or if you get it from this retailer, you can get it cheaper. Things like that. That's important information to know. I can't use a review score to buy a game. I can use it to look for a game. I can use it to decide if I'm going to buy a game. But I can't spend it on a game, yeah? Now, of course, everyone has different living standards. Everyone has different circumstances. I don't really have that many responsibilities. I don't have any children or a wife or anything like that I know of, anyway. So, you know, I only really have to pay board. You know, I don't have to pay my own gas, electric, and tax and whatnot. Sorry, I do have to pay tax, I should say. Bloody hell, I'm in a bit of trouble there. Yeah, I do have to pay tax. But I have to pay a gas, electric, or like water, things like that, because I live with my parents. I pay for my rent, and that's me sorted for the month, pretty much. Besides food and Coca-Cola and being fat, I've got to pay for all that. But yeah, got to pay for all that stuff. But yeah, because that means I can spend more money on games, but I don't earn as much. Now, someone else might earn a lot more than me, but has responsibilities. Some people might just earn more than me and have no responsibilities, or have the same responsibilities as myself. Yeah, and their value of a game will differ to my own. Even if, like, I had the same circumstances as someone else, their opinion of the value on a game may differ. So I can only really talk from my experiences. I'm not just going to go through every single kind of scenario in a review, because that'd take for fucking ever, and I'd miss some, no doubt. I can only really talk about my own experiences, and my experiences is I don't really have that many circumstances or responsibilities. I don't earn too much. I earn a fair bit, you know, average apprentice wage for my age, which is quite good. And, you know, I get to spend that money on games and travel and Coca-Cola. I think that's the second time I've plugged that. And Warhammer games, let's plug that as well. And Humble Bundle, let's plug that as well. So, yeah, but the point I'm trying to make is that, yeah, everyone has a different value of games, but I think it's important to know how much a game is worth. I think that should replace review scores. Is this game worth £50 at release? Yes or no? If no, what else? You know, should I get it in a Humble Bundle? Should I get a Humble Monthly? Should I wait for a sale, or should I get it now? What about the DLC? What about season passes? Things like that. And that's another reason why I made downloadable disc content, is so I can talk about the prices and break down the prices to even better value. Is it worth getting the season pass now, or should I wait for it to get in a sale? Should I get the season pass at all? Or should I just get the DLC separately? Which DLC should I get? Yeah? So I hope that's everything, because I've just wasted so much time. Yeah. I'd just like to reiterate that I will be paying tax when I get my first wage packet from a new job. And so yeah, I'm going to leave now. So yes, I think I've better explain to Her Majesty's Revenue and Customs why I said that. It was just a slip of the tongue, so yeah. Alright. So, but the more I talk about it, the more suspect I am. So, yes, thank you ever so much for watching. Have a pleasant day. I hope you enjoyed this episode of downloadable disc content, of Johnbonne reviews, I should say. Fuck's sake, Johnbonne's journal. And let me know if there's any more topics you'd like me to talk about. I know I will be delighted to talk about other things. I'm just rambling at this point. I do apologise. So I'm not going to take any more time. Thanks for watching. I'll see you later. Ta-ta for now.